Hi, I'm Jen Long, Creative Director at Sizzix, and I'm at Scrapbook.com. We're going to be sharing our new embossing technology. This is so exciting. We have two brand new embossing techniques to share with you. One is 3D embossing, which is this folder right here. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. A very exciting brand new product we have is Impresslits. This cuts and embosses in the same pass. I know it's every crafter's dream to be able to cut and emboss at the same time, and finally that is here. But that's not all. One of the things that sets Sizzix apart is that we include a little thinlit phrase with every cut and emboss folder. So not only do you have the opportunity to create a beautiful background with a piece cut out of it, you also have a phrase that goes along with it to help take your project even further. One of the projects that works really well with our Impresslits is making shaker cards. Shaker cards have made a serious comeback on the market. Although people think they're quite complicated to make, this is the tool you need to make them quick and easy. So let's look at that and do a quick demo on that. I'm just going to bring my machine over. So a cut and emboss folder looks and operates just like a normal 2D embossing folder does. We just have a little bit of extra thinlit here, right here in the folder. You're going to cut this out using tab 1, just like you would a normal embossing folder. So you're going to place your paper inside your folder. You're going to close it up. And you always want to have your embossing folder sandwich roll into the machine with the hinge side first. That's going to help make your embossing folder last longer and just protect the stability of that hinge right there. And then you're just going to complete your sandwich again on tab 1, just like you would a normal 2D embossing folder. We're going to roll this through. And we can see when we take our piece of paper out of our folder, we have a beautifully embossed image, and that cutout just comes right out. Isn't that pretty? So this is what gives us the base to start our shaker card with. Now what we're going to do, I just have a couple pieces of cardstock that I want to start my base with. So I am just going to start with a folded piece of paper as a card base, and I'm just going to put a little decorative cardstock on top of it for starters. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a pink base, and this is actually going to be the background base of my shaker card. So I'm just going to glue this base piece right in the middle of my card front. I tell you, making shaker cards is just as easy as layering 1, 2, 3 now with these Impresslit folders. Now this is a pretty cool part. We took a piece of foam and we put Sizzix adhesive sheets on both sides of the foam and actually cut it with our cut and emboss folder. This is going to give us the ability to create a little bit of dimension and have a surface area and a little depth for our sequins to rattle around in. This is so cool. I'm so excited about this. So we just peel off our Sizzix adhesive sheets off of this foam. So there's one side. Now I'm just going to get the other side. The important part is to make sure before you stick your foam down that you have it going the right direction, that your cut and emboss cutout will go equally on top of it. You can see if I accidentally stuck it down like this, we'd be in big time trouble. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to center it on my card front, just like so. Now the fun part, everybody loves pouring sequins out. We're going to go ahead and pour some sequins right in that spot. And now we're going to take a little piece of transparency and you just stick that right on top of there. And now you kind of have your window done, but it's not quite decorated enough, is it? What I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my Impresslit. We actually cut this out on Sizzix's brand new surface adhesive back foil. So what this is this is actually foil that has adhesive on the back of it. So we don't need any other adhesive, we're just going to peel this right off. Look at that, that comes off really clean and nice. It's just like a giant sticker. So I'm just going to line this up, probably start in the most complicated area, which is my heart swirl. I'm going to lay that down, and then I'm just going to work outward. and make sure, most importantly, that my sequin window is covered. And then I'm going to spread out and just cover up the rest of it. And look at that. I have a beautiful, unique shaker card with an emboss and cut image, sequins that you see through. But we're not quite done yet. Remember those phrases that we talked about earlier? Those are included right in the top of your cut and emboss folder. I'm going to peel those off. So we're going to bring our Big Shot back over. I've changed my platform to be on tab 2 again so I can cut out thinlits. And I just have this piece of paper where I have my Sizzix adhesive sheet on the back of it. And I'm going to line up my phrase that came along with my Impresslits. Since it was a heart design, our phrase says "Love it all." We're going to roll that through the machine. And I should mention, not only are all the phrases unique to the designs of the embossing folders, they all fit within the embossing folder window so that you have the ability to use them all together. So I'm just going to take my die pick and poke out my letters, poke out that extra hole, and I'm going to peel off this adhesive sheet back. And we have the word love. That's such an intricate phrase. I'm glad I had that adhesive to use on it. And I'm just going to have this go right across my heart space. For love, let's poke out I and the T. And you can see on this die, I hope the camera can get this, but there's a bunch of tiny little hearts as our ejection holes on there. So those actually emboss tiny little hearts along the T, which is a nice, cute little detail to have. And we go ahead and stick it down, literally. And then our last word, all, we'll poke it out. Oh, this is a skinny one. That's really impressive. Look how easy that came off. Love it all. And look at that. We have a unique shaker card with a very, very simple technique in order to get something that is typically quite complicated in the crafting world. So that is how we use Impresslits. That's one of our 3D embossing new technologies. So now we're going to take a look at 3D embossing. You can tell our embossing folder is a different color. This is our branded coral color. And we wanted to make our 3D embossing different and distinguishable between our 2D embossing folders, which are clear. So you're never going to get confused on which one is which. What's great about the 3D embossing folders is you don't need an extra platform or a new kind of sandwich configuration. It works right with the platform that came along with your Big Shot or your Big Shot Plus. And you're just going to continue to use tab 1, which is always for embossing. The only difference is you're just going to use one cutting pad instead of 2. This thickness allows you to just get enough pressure using one pad instead of 2. So that's the only difference between 2D and 3D embossing traditionally. Some of the tips and tricks for 3D embossing you can take when you work with your cardstock or your piece of paper leather. A fun trick to use is to actually spritz your cardstock or paper leather with a little bit of water. You don't have to get crazy and make it soaking wet, but just a few sprays on the front and the back of the page actually loosen the paper fibers. And that's going to prevent any kind of tearing from happening when you use this folder. We've created the depths of being able to emboss and deboss so dramatically that we just want to make sure and we're protecting your paper from tearing. So that's why we advise spritzing your paper a little bit before using a 3D embossing folder. And just like your 2D embossing folder, you're going to want to have it enter the machine with the hinge first, just to help maintain the integrity of your embossing folder. So now we finally get to the fun stuff, and we're going to roll this through. Once we take it out of the folder, you can see how cool that looks. You can see all the different dimensions that you're able to achieve using that 3D embossing folder. Personally, I think 3D embossing is most impressive with our brand new adhesive-backed foil sheets. So of course I have some of those here for us to use. I'm going to go ahead and use this tiny little blue piece, or not tiny, but smaller set blue piece. I'm just going to set that right in the middle. I'm going to close my folder, sit on my platform. Again, we're using our glitter cutting pads today because everything is more fun with glitter or metallics in it. I'm going to roll that through the machine. And wait till you get a load of how cool this looks when we take it out of the folder. Oh my goodness, that is so dramatic for an embossing folder. If you think compared to your 2D embossing, the kind of levels and depths and heights we've achieved here are just so impressive to me. All over backgrounds make a great background for a card front, but I also have an example here of how we've actually divided up. We've cut out the same pattern in 2 different colors, one using our brand new Bright-Ons and one using our different color of adhesive back foil, and separated them both with this little banner. So you do have a lot of creative options to go for when you're using 3D embossing. So I am just going to peel this adhesive back foil right away. You see how easily that comes away. Whenever you adhere this to a card front, you always just want to line up your corners. If you get both corners right on one side, you're almost guaranteed to continue it and get it right at the top. And then to spruce up this particular design, I really think adding a little bit of rhinestones to all these rises and runs with some hot glue just helps accentuate that 3-dimensionality even more. So I'm just going to pop a few drops of hot glue. I kind of want to use my Sizzix tweezers to place these on there because I don't feel like burning myself on hot glue today. And it's quite easy to just pick these up, drop them right on there, and that even helps push the 3-dimensionality of your design even further. So we're just going to take this ribbon, actually just tie it around to make a nice little binder border. Tie your bow. Make sure that your loops are even, and then get your scissors ready to trim. You always want to trim these ones at just a little bit of an angle. And then we just made an additional flower. Just go right here. And then I've stamped a hello friend on this white piece of paper. I'm just going to take a little bit of distress ink, and I'm going to use this just to kind of make my edges a little bit more dramatic and help that pop off even more. And for this last piece, instead of hot glue, I'm going to use some pop dots or dimensional adhesive just to help it get a look of feeling even higher off of the card base. Remember to peel off both sides of your pop dots. There we go. And that can show you how a 3-dimensional embossing folder can just make the perfect background for any card. So you have the ability to decorate and emboss notebook covers or planners. You can make home decor pieces. All these different new embossing technologies really do take embossing to a whole new dimension.